The Eye wasn't the fastest superhero or the strongest. He didn't even have superpowers. And yet, year after year, he made his city safer and safer and safer. His city didn't get a lot of superpowered threats, and so he managed to keep people safe with his superior strategic mind and fighting skills, using his stealth to get there. But when a new villain named Dominance came to town, the Eye is forced to try new tactics. The Eye waited in the shadows. Dominance directed his gang. "Faster, idiots!" Dominance said. The Eye observed. It was clear that Dominance had some sort of superpower. His men were moving with incredible speed and strength, and yet he didn't quite understand. Was it a group area of effect power? Something about inspiring people to be stronger? The Eye looked. In the basement, they were transporting cargo, valuable cargo, but the Eye gasped. "Oh no," the Eye said. It was valuable cargo, all right, but it was human cargo. Young girls being forced into the back of a van. The Eye didn't want to intervene with Dominance tonight, but now he had no choice. Those young girls needed help. The Eye needed to be strategic about how he did it. He attached his grappling hook and slowly went down in the shadows of the alley, down towards the guards that were pulling people down. One guard looked up at him. He shot out with his grappling hook, managed to wrap it around his neck and pull him up into the shadows. He apprehended the guard non-lethally when Dominance wasn't looking. "Alex," Dominance said. "Alex!" Another guard pointed his gun up towards the ceiling, and the Eye grappled the gun, pulling it into the darkness. Dominance cracked his knuckles. "Looks like we got company here, boys." They all laughed. They had been expecting him. The Eye knew that. Engaging him in direct combat was. "Right here," a guard said, on top of the building that the Eye was attached to. He cut the Eye's grappling hook. The Eye fell down right into Dominance's lap. Dominance stood over him. "It's good. I've been wanting to meet you." He cracked his knuckles again. The Eye squared off against 10 different people who were bursting with psionic energy. This was bad. This was really bad. Dominance swung up above him. The Eye ducked under the attack and did a perfect jab towards Dominance's solar plexus, but Dominance just laughed. "You don't get it yet, do you?" The Eye fended off 2 attacks from the guards, one of which broke his forearm. He held his forearm, looking between all of them. He grit his teeth. This was really bad. "You're never gonna win," Dominance said. "My superpower is I find people's strengths and enhance them." The guard's muscles bulged with energy. "And I also find people's weakness," Dominance said. The Eye saw his opportunity. The Eye ducked under Dominance's legs and sprinted towards the edge of the alley, but the guards were so strong, they grabbed him and tackled him to the ground. "What should we do with him, boss?" one of the guards said, pointing a gun straight at the Eye's head. All of his years of superpower training, nothing against this strange superpower of enhancing strengths and diminishing weaknesses. The Eye felt fatigued, more fatigued than he should. His arms, his bones were weaker. That's why his bone broke. It was all too much. He was gonna die in this alley. Dominance smiled. "I could kill you if I want, you know. But," he gestured to the girls cowering in the back of the van, "I think torturing you with this idea that I'm gonna get away with all of this is way funnier. Why don't you come back in a week? We can fight. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose, and finally I'll put you below ground. Leave 'em, boys, but you can get a shot in each." The Eye took a super strong punch from each member of Dominance's gang. Boom! 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 His ribs cracked. His orbital bone of his face cracked. His knee cracked. He was bleeding and broken in the alley, and Dominance stood over him. The pain was too much. The Eye held on using breathing techniques. Dominance looked at him with pity. "You really know how to take a punch, don't you?" Dominance said. He spat on the Eye's face. "You're gonna need that skill. Ta-ta." The Eye was bleeding, broken, cracked in the alley. He pulled himself towards a manhole cover, slowly. When Dominance drove away, he felt his strength come back, but his bones were still broken. He managed to get the manhole cover open and jump into the water of the sewer. The sewer current carried him to the Eye's lair, full of monitors. "Dad?" Johnny said. He pulled the Eye out of the water. "Mom, get the medical supplies." The Eye heard his wife running for medical assistance. He shook his head. When Lavender, his wife, saw him, she burst into tears. When she patched up his wounds, she begged him not to go out again that night. The Eye spent the entire day healing in his penthouse. He sent his son Johnny to school, and Johnny made him promise that he wouldn't go out without talking to him first. Johnny had been trying costumes on in the middle of the night, wanting to go out with the Eye, but he had told him, absolutely not. Too dangerous. Being a family man and a superhero at the same time as running a multinational company was very difficult for the Eye, but he knew that people needed help out there. And even if he didn't have superpowers, he was the only one that could stop them. Something about the Dominator, his powers of enhancing strengths and diminishing weaknesses. If his strength could be enhanced somehow, that was it, the Eye said. When he put his costume on to go out, his arm was mostly healed. New technology that he had paid 6 figures for. And yet still, Lavender held onto his hand and looked at him in his eyes. "Please don't go," Lavender said. "You can call your superpowered friends. They can deal with it." "No," the Eye said, looking out at the city, which was just turning to dust. "They have bigger threats to deal with. I can take the Dominator on my own." "Why do you do this?" Lavender said, looking at him in his eyes, her eyes brimming with tears. "You have a son at home. You can just ask for help." The Eye grit his teeth, looking out at the city. "I've got a plan. Don't worry about it." Lavender slapped him across the face. The Eye took it, knowingly. "You're going to slap an injured man across the face?" Lavender cracked a smile and laughed a little bit. She hugged him in his arms with all of her might. "Just please don't die, okay?" Lavender said. The Eye nodded. When he went out and found Dominator's lair on the top floor of a mysterious Italian restaurant, the Eye was ready. He had a plan in place. He wasn't wearing his costume anymore. Instead, street clothes, a hoodie, sweatpants, something that he would imagine that somebody off the street would wear. He walked into the fancy Italian restaurant, and the waiter looked at him up and down in a second. "We don't let gutter trash like you into our restaurant." "I'm here to see, Dominator," he said. The waiter looked at him differently, with fear in his eyes. "Upstairs," the waiter said. The Eye went up the stairs and found a room full of men gambling, drinking, being degenerates in every single way. And at the center of it all, in his white costume, was the Dominator, with 4 terrified women on his arms. The Eye tried to go to the corner of the room, but the thugs all looked at him. Dominator gestured for him to come closer, closer. "What's your name?" Dominator said, looking at the Eye. Chris," the Eye said, giving him a fake name, looking down. He had a feeling that Dominator liked to be the king, the boss, and if he looked subservient, maybe he would let him into his gang. "So, Chris," Dominator said. The Eye immediately felt weak, sagging, like he wanted to fall to the ground. This was Dominator's ability, enhancing his weaknesses. "Why the hell should I let you onto my squad?" Dominator said. The Eye looked at Dominator in the eyes. "Because I'm tougher than all your guys combined. If you stop using your ability." All the guys in the room laughed, but the Eye looked at the thugs in the room. Dominator smiled. The Eye felt stronger now, like his muscles were being enhanced. "All right, prove it to me," Dominator said. "Why don't you take on 2 guys at once?" 2 big guys from the crowd walked out, facing off against the Eye. The Eye looked at Dominator in the eyes. "Fine, just don't use any of your superpowered tricks on me." Dominator smiled and nodded. The 2 thugs worked together to jump at the Eye. They were good, fast, trained, but the Eye was better. He kneed one of them in the stomach and elbowed another in the face, leaving them falling down on the ground. One of them tried to get up, but the Eye mercilessly stomped onto his face. He needed to sell the performance. He picked up a steak knife from one of the tables and plunged it down towards the other guard's face, ready to kill him, but Dominator put up a hand. He dropped the steak knife onto the ground. He was never going to kill one of the thugs, but he had to sell the performance to make it into his gang. Dominator smiled and applauded. "Very nice, Chris. Very nice. Well, we just so happen to have a plan that does require some extra manpower, if you're up for it." "Yeah?" the Eye said, turning towards Dominator. "Yeah, there's this superhero named the Eye that's been giving us grief, and it turns out that he has a wife and son, both living in the sewers with him." It took everything that the Eye had not to widen his eyes. "Yeah," Dominator said. "So we're gonna go kill him tonight. Do you want to suit up?" The Eye didn't know what to do as he fell in line with the other men, lining up with Dominator as they entered into the sewers. They were getting closer and closer, and he had a feeling that Dominator was looking at him differently. When he had his costume on, nobody could tell who he was, but still, something about this Dominator. He had an ability to detect things, and, "We're here," Dominator said. The guards fanned out throughout the Eye's lair. It had been hunkered down. There were sheets over the more important computers, and yet Dominator still clapped his hands. The guards burst with energy. "Destroy everything," Dominator said. The guards smashed the computers, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, but the Eye didn't care, as long as Lavender and Johnny were safe. But, "Oh ho ho," one of the guards said. "We've got a live one." Lavender and Johnny got pulled out of the darkness, straight at the feet of Dominator. The Eye's pulse quickened. No. He looked between the guards. He had the same strength as all the other ones. He had been using Dominator's strength boost, and yet now, looking at Lavender and Johnny at the feet of Dominator, he felt like he didn't have the strength to do what he needed to do. Dominator smiled. "So, you're the wife and son of the Eye. Where is he, huh? Is he hiding in the shadows?" The Eye cautiously picked up a paperweight from one of his desks. "I mean, we're gonna kill both of you," Dominator said. "So you'd better ka-chunk." The paperweight bounced off of Dominator's head. He fell to the ground, unconscious. The Eye felt his strength be sapped away from his body, and he looked between all the guards. They started panicking. "Dominator's out," one of them said. "What are we gonna—" The Eye jumped into action. He smashed two of the guards' heads together. They all lunged for Lavender and Johnny, but the Eye managed to use his abilities to fend them off, picking up a broomstick and using it as a staff to ward them off one by one. All the guards tried to jump on him at once, but they had been used to the strength of the Dominator, and the Eye was able to crack their heads, one by one by one. He knocked them all unconscious at the floor. When Dominator came to, he was in a makeshift jail cell that the Eye had made in the middle of the sewer. He was in his full costume now, facing off against him. "You think this jail cell will hold me?" Dominator said. He enhanced the strength of his guys. They pushed against the metal bars. They held, but just barely. "No," the Eye said. "No?" Dominator said, looking at the Eye. The Eye looked down and looked at Dominator in the eyes. "Someone a lot smarter than me once told me that when you have a superpowered threat, you need help." Suddenly, the cave was full of superheroes, glowing with superpowered energy, telekinesis, super strength, light. Dominator looked between them and screamed, "Hey, that's not fair!" He looked at the Eye. "I beat you fair and square in a one-on-one fight. You sneak into my crew and you—" "I don't care," the Eye said. The superpowered people took away the thugs, sending them to superpowered prison, and the Eye walked right up to Dominator, looking at him in the eyes. "They're taking you away, but I want you to know that I beat you," the Eye said. Dominator smiled, looking at him in the eyes. "I've seen your wife and son's faces," Dominator said. "I'm gonna come back." The Eye felt a pit in his stomach. The truth is, this was the most danger his wife and son had ever been in. He looked at Dominator in the eyes and smiled, a confident smile. Dominator only respected strength, and so he knew that right now, the words that he said meant the most they had ever meant to anyone. "You can try," the Eye said, "but I already beat you once. I can beat you as many times as you want. You're never touching them." He spat in Dominator's face, the exact same way that Dominator had spat in his face so long ago. Dominator broke then, just a little, looking at the Eye in the eyes, and the superheroes took him away forever. "I told you it's dangerous," Lavender said, hugging the Eye. The Eye looked between Lavender and Johnny. He looked around this cave that they had been living in for so long. The Eye took off his mask and looked at it. "I know," the Eye said. He threw his mask into the water. It floated into the darkness.